question for this week. What does George Floyd and Donald Trump have in common? They represent the two biggest stories that unfolded in recent months. George Floyd, his death in Minnesota, led to protests all across America and beyond, protests that are still going on. Donald Trump, his having coronavirus brought to the forefront what has been taking place in countless homes all across America. 200,000 of those homes have now lost loved ones. George Floyd and Donald Trump, one word connects them: breath. What was George Floyd's last words? I can't breathe. And Donald Trump and all the others suffering from coronavirus have trouble breathing. Where did this breathing, this breath come from? It comes from this week's Torah portion right at the beginning, after the creation of the first human. The Torah tells us, and man was formed. What was he formed from? The Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground. Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. And he breathed the breath of life into his nostrils. The Zohar, the book of Kabbalah, points out on this verse, for the Holy One, blessed be he, shapes a form within a form, and finishes it and breathes into it the breath of life and brings it into the open. You see, every part of us comes from the ground, except that breath of life that is a piece of divine that's placed within each and every one of us. How important that breath is. I was thinking about this. Last year, Sherry and I were in New York, our last shopping spree before the pandemic. No, I should change that. My last shopping spree before the pandemic. And I went to the Apple store on Fifth Avenue to buy an Apple Watch. Why did I need an Apple Watch? Because everybody else has one. So the first thing after the purchase, the salesman said, do I want a warranty on the watch? To which Sherry chimed in all likelihood, the watch would outlive me. I'm not so sure about that, because the watch has a reminder on it every day where it says, breathe. It reminds me to stop and breathe. And you know what? According to the Mayo Clinic, breathing may help ease symptoms of stress-related disorders and mental health conditions such as anxiety, general stress, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes, we have to be reminded sometimes just how precious each and every breath is. saw this story written up by my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Benjamin Blech. A coronavirus story took place in Italy a few weeks ago. A 93-year-old man was stricken with COVID-19, and he somehow survived. Upon being discharged from the hospital, he was presented with a very large bill. Part of it was for payment of the ventilator, which he had been put on for 1 day. Reading the amount that was due, the old man began to cry. And the hospital felt a sense of compassion and told him not to worry, that even if he couldn't afford to pay for it, they would make sure the payments were manageable. And the old man said, I don't cry because of the money I have to pay. Thankfully, I can afford it. I cry because I've just come to realize after all these many years on earth, I've been breathing God's air for 93 years, yet I have never had to pay for it. Do you know how much I owe God? We all owe God. So do me a favor. Take in a deep breath and say to yourself, thank God I have Rabbi Wahlberg for reminding me to be grateful for this. And I thank God for all the miracles. Al nisecha shebechol yom imanu, that are with us every day. For this and so much more, we are grateful. Shabbat Shalom.